I'm working on clarifying my desired outcomes for the new year and setting goals and intentions. It's turning out to be a bigger process than I initially thought. I want my year to be cohesive and integrated, more focused, more directed than the recent years have been. I want what I do during the day to relate to something specific and something meaningful so that my days lead to something specific and something meaningful, so that I can move through the year feeling like I'm accomplishing something instead of wading through random, pointless busyness that leaves me feeling unfulfilled and running on empty. I can feel resistance worrying me just in the process of figuring out what I want my year to be like, what I want to be during the year and at the end of the year. Stephen Pressfield introduced us to the concept of resistance with a capital R. The way he talks about resistance, it's not an intelligence like a mythological god as much as it's a neutral force, much like gravity or entropy or inertia. There's no evil intent, no malice. It's completely disinterested. It's not scheming spitefully as much as it's operating at a cause and effect level. When you want to do something that's meaningful to you, resistance is the force that is equal and opposite to your desire. So the more you want it, the more it means to you, the greater the resistance, and the more forces resistance bring to bear against you. It's pervasive, and for the most part, it's outside of your conscious awareness. So, as I work at making my life meaningful for the coming year, I'm becoming aware of how resistance is exerting its force over me through distractions and impulses and doubts and despair. And of course, my kryptonite, perfectionism, that most insidious stealth agent of resistance. I want my desired outcomes to be awe-inspiring. I want my goals to be grand and my plans perfect. I want the execution to be a flawless expression of precision and effectiveness. But that's not useful. It's not helpful, and it's certainly not effective. There's a gritty beauty in the messy road to achievement. Achievement imbues the process and the journey retrospectively with beauty, just like failure strips perfection retrospectively of all its magnificence. No matter how meticulous your planning, no matter how pristine your setup, if you don't achieve your goals because you don't execute and you don't persevere, all these neatly drawn up and meticulously lined up and perfectly articulated plans are smudged and stained by inconsistency and abandonment and failure. I'm coming to realize that consistency is the key. Consistency with a capital C is the counteragent to resistance with a capital R. Whatever your desired outcome, whatever your goals, consistency will get you there. So you should look after, you should nurture consistency. It will get you to your desired outcome. So strive for consistency. Not perfection, not excitement, not satisfaction. Set up your plans for consistency. Make consistency the backbone of your plans. Treat consistency like the growth medium, the matrix for your success. Have process goals of consistency. These will lead to end goals of greatness. Scale your steps to give yourself the best shot at consistency. You may need to play around a bit to get the sweet spot. When you're planning, it's natural to have the enthusiasm of the possibilities amp up your expectation of what you can accomplish and what you can manage and what you can sustain. Dial it down and plan to do less than you think you can. less than you think you should in your current initial enthusiastic state. Enthusiasm turns the future you into an idealized version of yourself to the current version of the you who's doing the planning. Enthusiasm turns the future you into a failure to the future you who reflects back on the failure to achieve what you had set out to do. Enthusiasm sets you up for failure and disappointment. Well, unbridled enthusiasm, I should say. Enthusiasm isn't a flaw. I mean, you won't get far without it. You also won't get far if you let enthusiasm show you the best case, epic movie montage scenario of your efforts as if that's the real-life day-to-day journey. Enthusiasm spices things up. However, spices are not the meal. The meal is made up of staples, not spices. Enthusiasm is a spice. Consistency is a staple. The simplest meals are made up of staples: rice, potatoes, vegetables, meat. These simple meals are the most nourishing and the most satisfying, not to mention the best for you in the long run. You can't just live on spices. And you also don't want a meal that has too many spices. And for that matter, not every meal can be a fancy Michelin star gourmet meal either. And you shouldn't expect it to be. Prioritize staples over spices. Consistency over enthusiasm. Consistency is humility. It's doing the unflashy things, the things that aren't Instagram worthy. Consistency is what they edit out of movies to keep them from being boring. Consistency builds character. It turns you into the kind of person worthy of what you have achieved. It makes you deserving in a way no shortcut or bought outcome ever could, which makes consistency the antidote to self-doubt and imposter syndrome. Through consistency, you earn your achievements, and having earned them, there is no space for imposter syndrome. Consistency is constantly happening. You don't have a choice in that. Consistency will happen. It's pervasive. There is an ever-present potential for consistency. You can only choose what form consistency takes, what consistency will lead to, what it will result in. All that's needed to potentiate consistency is repetition. The more you do a thing, the more you allow the force of consistency to grow around that thing you're doing. And not only that thing, but an entire constellation that thing forms part of. What do I mean by that? Your repeated behaviors lead to a strengthened field of consistency that reinforces those behaviors. And not only that, consistency also reorients your attitudes associated with those behaviors and your beliefs. Beliefs about the worthiness of your behaviors, beliefs about your capability related to those behaviors, your beliefs about who you are as a person that's doing those behaviors, as in who you hold yourself to be in the world, and what you can offer the world because of who you are. This is a double-edged sword, though. Consistency is a neutral force, so it applies equally to those things you do that supports the highest expression of who you are, want to be and could be, as well as the other things you do that don't. If you're not in a place you want to be in your life, that is also because of consistency. The more you intentionally exercise your choices about how to behave, about what specifically you do, the more you harness the force of consistency, instead of letting it run away with you, taking you on a ride you don't want to go on, to a place you don't want to be. So, strive for consistency. Measure your success and your progress in terms of consistency. Support your efforts to be consistent, Make that your primary consideration, your goal for all goals. Every adjustment, every course correction, every optimization should be in service of consistency. Consistency is your bulwark against resistance. It protects you from the pull of resistance. It fortifies you against the instruments and agents of resistance. Devote yourself to consistency, and the siren song of resistance will be impotent. The agents of resistance, distraction, doubt, fear, the little voice saying you're not good enough, you don't deserve it, that there are other things you'd rather be doing, these will have no power over you when you dedicate yourself to consistency. Make consistency the shrine at which you place every offering, and make your offerings abundant and regular. Make consistency the altar on which you make your sacrifices, and make your sacrifices equivocal. Have faith that your offerings and your sacrifices will be rewarded. Consistency will bless and reward you. Be a disciple of consistency. Let consistency be your order. Make consistency your highest aim, and let it infuse every worthy endeavor you undertake.